Welcome to the new weekly edition of the ABBA League magazine. The 13th season is all but over, as only the Final Four tournament remains before us. It's played in the Combank Arena in Belgrade, and the title is defended by Partizan, who already has 6 titles to its name, which is of course by far the most. They will play Cedevita in the second semi-final, while in the first, the leading team of the regular part of the season, Crvena Zvezda, will play Cibona. We paid a visit to all the protagonists as they prepare intensely for the closure of the season. But we started the news. We have a best starting 5 of the league for the first time in its history. The fans and the coaches were picking, and they decided they 2 players from Partizan, 2 from Crvena Zvezda and 1 from Cibona. So let's take a look who they are. The Marcus Nelson of Crvena Zvezda is the best point guard of the league with 9.7 points and 3.3 assists per game. The best shooting guard, of course, is Bogdan Bogdanovic from Partizan with 15 points per game, a 4th best shooter of the league. The only player in this lineup not coming from Belgrade is the league's best number 3, best player and rebounder, Dario Šarić. Geoffrey Lauvergne has been selected as the best power forward of the season. The Frenchman from Partizan has been averaging 10.8 points and 7.3 rebounds per game. And the last part of the team at centre forward position is Bobby Marjanovic. The tallest player of the league has been averaging 9.7 points and 7.3 rebounds per game. Belgrade is now hosting the tournament for the 3rd time. The first time was in Pionir Hall in 2005 when 8 teams were playing the tournament. The teams went through the last 8 phases with relative ease, with the one exception when Crvena Zvezda was only better by 2 points from Cibona. Then in the semis, Hemofarm beat the defending champion Reflex, and the eternal derby went to Partizan. The best player in that close affair was Dejan Milojevic with 26 points and 10 rebounds. Partizan was then the favorite to win in the final against Hemofarm, but Željko Lukajic's team was far better on the day, and truth be told, Hemofarm did enter the tournament as a leading team from the regular season. The next Final Four event took place in 2009, this time with 4 teams and already in the Combank Arena. Again, the Eternal Derby took place in the semi-final, and again it was Partizan who won it, beating Zvezda by 64-58 with Milenko Tepic, now back at Partizan, being the best player of the night. The second semi-final was won easily by Cibona over Hemofarm, with Alan Anderson man of the match with 24 points. 13,000 spectators witnessed Partizan dislodge Cibona with 63 and 49 in the final, and Novica Veličković was the best performer. And now let's leap from the past back into the present and take a look at how the preparations were going at the clubs involved. For the second time in its history after 2003, Crvena Zvezda finished the regular season as the best team. It didn't start that way though, as the team from Belgrade lost its first game of the season to Široki, the now relegated team from Herzegovina. But soon Zvezda was able to notch up a gear, and the form wasn't lost even when the club parted ways with Blake Shield, as the American was well replaced by Tadija Dragicevic. The end result gains value over the fact that Crvena Zvezda competed at 2 strong fronts, and they weren't even far away from reaching the final of the Euro Cup. They also won both times against Cibona this season. Crvena Zvezda quite convincingly took the first place in the regular season, as their players were constantly repeating good form, something they will desperately try to hold on to at the Final Four tournament in Belgrade. Well, because of that achievement in the regular season, they are genuinely considered as main favourites to win the title, but that, of course, still needs to be proven on the court. The teams will play for 40 minutes in a game in which there can be a lot of influencing factors like home court advantage or the quality of the team, maybe even injuries or other problems. I think the fact that we have certain worries and are burdened by it gives Cibona an additional belief. In any case, this team still plays well.
Su im šanse veće, oni igraju i dalje jako dobro. I think all four teams that's in the Final Four, any one of those teams are capable of winning it. It's about who goes into the Final Four fresh, who goes in a good rhythm, and who executes their game plan that day the best. And so I think we have our hands full with our first game, and we have to treat it like it's our only game, because it is. We only guaranteed that one game, so we have to do our best job with getting focused and prepared for that game.
Well, maybe there are favorites on paper, but in reality there are none. Well, we are in for a fight, as everybody here knows how to play good basketball. And it's not just something you say, it's the genuine truth, as it was when we played Unix and knew beforehand that we shouldn't get distracted by our advantage of 11 points. We'll show Cibona the same respect, even though we managed to beat them twice. This year we have to turn a page and get ready for the game in the same manner as we did before. Their opponent in the semi-final is Cibona, a team they know all too well and who's fresh from the encounter with Zvezda, as the two teams played each other in the last day of the regular season. Besides Šarić, they also have other players who have experience in playing at a high level, even higher than the ABA League. The cause for their optimism lies also in the fact that they can be far less burdened with expectations, even though they arrive with high ambitions.
They have a really good pick and roll game. They have good shooters on the outside. So we have to do a good job, I think, first of all, is trying to neutralize those situations, and then just playing good one-on-one defense on him. We haven't even started talking about our game plan. We haven't even looked at video or started to prepare for that. That's just my personal opinion, just thinking about it. But obviously our coaches, they've done a good job all year with coming up with our game plan, coming up with our strategies, and figuring out the best way to win, which gives our team the best options. And I think they're going to do a good job with that.
They had many problems with departures of coaches and players, but they really succeeded in showing their character as they drove for success against the odds. And for now, they're showing it to be true. Still, Belgrade is the arena of this Final Four tournament, and the red and white should have the advantage, as they can count on the vocal support from their fans. In any case, it is very welcome. We have played a couple of similar games already this season, where the pressure was high and the venue was packed with fans. I think this should play to our advantage. I hope our fans will create an atmosphere which will have ultimately pleased both teams.
Naši navijači napraviti ambijent koji će nam omogućiti da na kraju tog duela prvog protiv Cibone budemo svi zajedno zadovoljni.
It's a gift and a curse. Obviously, with having our fans there, that it creates a hostile environment, and it puts a lot of pressure on our opponents. Also, sometimes it can kind of cause pressure on us as well. Guys want to play well. We want to do a good job in front of our fans. We all play with pride. We all play for the right reasons. Sometimes, that can kind of backfire a little bit with wanting to do it too much.
In a game against Budivelnik, we were caught stiff at first, as the atmosphere was truly magnificent and the game was very important. And in the game against Unix, we were a bit more used to it, and that's why I believe this time it is definitely going to be our advantage. The more fans, the bigger the advantage it will be for us. The whole of the basketball public awaits whether the fiercest rivals will meet in the final, but of course it is too soon to make that call. At the beginning of the season, Cibona announced their intent of reaching the Final Four by putting together a strong team, but that was also an expensive team, and when the finances started to suffer, Cibona had to part ways with coach Spachia and with DJ Strawberry and Matt Janning as well. But Slaven Rimac and his staff worked wonders. Cibona Zagreb just may be the most surprising of the four teams fighting for the title, as they have reached the tournament against all odds, having made big changes in the middle of the season. Slaven Rimac managed to pull off a feat hardly expected in the Croatian capital.
I think
we managed to finish as best as we could this season, given the fact we don't have a long bench. Besides that, some of our players are among the best in the league, like Dario Šarić, and the team was constantly growing. We had some problems in December, but the team managed to stay connected and focused, which resulted in a very nice run of victories.
Dobru igru I nakon toga stvarno smo imali jedan lijep niz ovih pobjeda.
To get to this tournament is a big success, and now we won't just roll over to Crvena Zvezda. We'll try to beat them and get to the final. We'll be ready. We hope for a good atmosphere, and that all goes well.
Tako da spremamo se, bit ćemo spremni. Vjerujem da će biti atmosfera dobra, da će sve proći u najboljem redu.
Cibona had a congested domestic schedule prior to the Belgrade Final Four tournament, but the news from Zagreb is the team will be ready by the time it clashes with Crvena Zvezda in the first semi-final. There will be no additional motivation needed, as the venue will be packed with fans and the game will be tremendous. We will try to surprise them tactically. Of course, they are the favorites, and it is up to us to play without pressure and with a smile on our faces, and ultimately surprise them. There's no pressure on us, while there's great pressure from Zvezda's fans for their team to reach the EuroLeague and win the league as well. We have to be smart and turn this to our advantage. We have to make them nervous in order to win.
Moramo biti pametni I to znati iskoristiti, tako da ih probamo uvući u neku određenu nervozu koja bi ipak nama dala neke šanse u toj utakmici.
Their team is full of quality throughout the bench. They have dominant centers and quality guards. Of course, they are favorites to win the league, but we know each other well, and we'll just have to see what's going to happen.
Međutim, igrali smo ne tako davno s njima, poznajemo ih, oni nas isto tako dobro poznaju. Vidit ćemo šta će biti.
The duels between Serbian and Croatian clubs are always something special, first and foremost between the clubs from Zagreb and Belgrade, which have proved in the last years they can be a real sporting holiday. We're about to see another one in the Belgrade arena. Of course, it's a good thing. That is why basketball is played. I'm glad the venue will be full. I like playing in these kind of atmospheres. It's going to be their advantage, but we won't surrender. We'll play our game, and hopefully it'll be enough to win.
Međutim, ponavljam, mi se ne predajemo, mi idemo gore igrati našu košarku I vjerujem pobijediti.
It will probably be important, but if we manage to stay in the game for as long as possible, then I think we could benefit more from the full house, as the pressure will be on the home team. The dark side of Cibona's preparation for the most important game of the season is the big financial trouble and inconsistency, which almost led to the players and coaching staff going on strike.
I
honestly hope that sporting motives are the most important to my players. Having said that, we have to shed some light on the promises our board has failed to fulfill. I believe it won't have an influence on our game, as I haven't noticed any lack of appetite in the squad. We will have things under control till the end of the season, as we feel the need to finish our job exactly in the manner we have done it until now.
Napravili smo jedan dobar posao do sad I mislim da tako u istom tom tonu trebamo završiti sezonu.
Our dreams came true with reaching the Final Four tournament, and now we are trying to stay focused in spite of all the trouble surrounding us. I hope it will stay this way until the end of the season. Nobody finds things easy in these times, but there is one thing that is certain. There is no doubt that the Belgrade tournament will be nothing short of spectacular. Just like Cibona, Cedevita also announced their intentions by bringing in a renowned coaching name, namely Jasmin Repeša. Despite the fact he was able to link up with his team later on due to Croatia having done well in the Euros, Cedevita was the longest-standing undefeated team in the league and eventually had no real trouble in reaching the top 4 spots, their second Final Four after Tel Aviv won in 2012. They were also reasonably successful in the Euro Cup, where they missed out on the top 6 team only in the final game against Lietuvos Rytas. Cedevita really had a fine regular season as they played constantly well to eventually finish second in the standings, only behind Crvena Zvezda. I agree, we played constantly well. There were games which we should have won, like the one in Laktaši or in Solnok, but we managed to blow it. That said, there were games we won right at the end. So we were stable, and to be second is a very good achievement.
The
way the regular season unfolded, it was clear Cedevita would meet Partizan in the semis. They played each other twice, and both teams won once. The details will of course be deciding who will play better on day. But we will need to score, as I don't know what we can do in the paint. We'll see how it unfolds. Partizan is a strong physical team and best rebounding team in the league. On the other hand, we are probably the best in transition play. We're all about tight defense and a lot of easy points from transition play.
Imamo veliko mladih igralcev in smo mogoče ena izmed najboljših ekip v ligi, kar se tranzicije tiče, in naš nekako forte bi rekel to, da čvrsta obramba, dober skok in pol, veliko lahkih košov iz tranzicije.
We've seen a lot of Partizan games this season in the ABA League and in the Euro League as well, so we know our opponent well. They are getting players back from injury, like Bertansk, who's not only important on court, but also for that chemistry of the team. He can cover a lot of space, but we will be prepared for the game. We arrive full of confidence that we can win in that great atmosphere.
Idemo odlučni da damo sve od sebe u jednoj pravoj domaćinskoj atmosferi kakva će biti u Beogradu.
So the teams know each other really well, but the black and white do have a certain advantage, namely the hall packed with their fans, which will undoubtedly be very loud indeed. Of course it's an advantage, but it can also be a burden. They almost need to win this important match, but we are well prepared to this nice challenge which is ahead of us.
Težinu i psihološku koju nosi ovakva jedna utakmica. Mi smo spremni za jednu takvu utakmicu i da je odigramo kvalitetno, da zaista jedan lijep izazov.
I don't think any of us has played in a similar atmosphere. It's an additional motive to perform really well. Personally, I like playing in hot atmospheres. It can be an incentive for us to play better than we can. I would say our chances are good. It's been too long since Partizan took control over the league.
Veliko tekmo in mislim, da so šanse 50-50, tako da bomo videli, kaj bo. Sam Partizan je, vse veste, tako dolgo v tej ligi gazda, tako da bomo verjetno morali dati svoj maksimum.
If Partizan is under strong pressure to win, there is no such feeling at Cedevita. It's not imperative for us to win, but that doesn't mean we won't do everything in our power to finish first. But Cedevita does have an advantage over the others. Their club is totally stable without any kind of financial trouble, so they can prepare in peace for their game of the season.
Sigurno da to vpliva na igralce drugih ekip, ki mogoče nimajo.
Of course, it can have an effect on the players who play under troubled circumstances. Our board is exemplary, as they let us do our business, just to focus on our basketball. And when the game comes, we don't think about anything else. We don't think about our salaries. And because of that, we can do our job as professionals.
Vsi smo mi profesionalci, športniki in hočeš svoj posel narediti čim boljše.
će si prestvariti.
If you only think about basketball, there is no problem. We are lucky our club is as stable as it is. We're focused on the things our coach is teaching us, and that's why we have to give everything to finish the season on a high. If not on this tournament, then in our domestic championship, which we need to win. Cedevita and Partizan lock horns on Friday, and there's one thing for certain: we cannot say who will play in the final. Just like last year, Partizan fought their way into the final for 2 rounds before the end of the regular season against Budućnost. But Coach Vujošević is known for preparing his teams in the right time, and that was shown over and over in the past, none more so than last year in Laktaši. The black and white from Belgrade weren't as dominant this season as they were in the previous ones. Their fans were spoiled with more convincing displays in the years gone by, but this time it was different. There are of course reasons for that, and they indicate there have been some problems in the past months. It appears the injuries were Partizan's biggest setback, as they have decimated the team for a nice part of the season.
Imamo puno problema u odnosu na te probleme.
We have a whole set of problems, financial ones as well, but also we have a problem with the public perception of our club. Still, I consider it a big success that we have managed to somehow reorganize during the season. Having said that, we still feel limited by the situation. I think we would have a much more chance to compete for the last 8th spot in the EuroLeague had we not been forced to play without the injured Dragan Milosavljević and Leo Westermann. But that's life. We were able to perform well enough without them, and our coach is always saying the proverbial, you must play without whoever is missing. Home court could prove to be our only advantage, but I'm not too sure about that either, as we're only talking about one game, which is going to be very tough for us anyway. If we, for example, start badly and get nervous because of it, the crowd could sense that and become nervous too, thus putting us under even more pressure. So a hall filled with our fans could be a great help, but on the other hand, it's not a given thing. In any case, Friday's semi-final will prove to be the biggest challenge of the season for the most successful club of the region. Everybody knows that an appearance in the final not only brings a chance to win a trophy, but also an automatic entry into the EuroLeague, which is an important thing for the club as it benefits from better rating and finance. So it is imperative for us to do well in the Final Four tournament if we want to continue developing this club at a high level. We're only thinking about the first game because we can't foresee what's going to happen. Maybe Cibona and Cedevita will end up playing in the final, nobody knows. Of course we will do our best to reach the final, and then it doesn't really matter who is our opponent. Of course, it would be a great derby game if we could meet Zvezda, as it always is. In that case, it doesn't matter whether it's the first or the last game of the season. To be fair, this is our most important competition this season. Through it we can enter the EuroLeague again, and we're all aware of that. Because of that, we have the games against Cedevita as our most important game of the season. The relevance of the tie can have a negative effect, but I expect us to be positively nervous and perform as best as we can. But Cedevita won't be an easy opponent of the Serbian giant, as past duels will have had no significance prior to this match.
Cedevita je ozbiljan klub.
Cedevita is a well-organized and run club and well-financially supported club with quality programs, its own training ground and a renowned coach. I even think Jasmin Repeša is Croatia's best coach. He also has a great team at his disposal, and there's no point in discussing which particular player we need to stop, but to perceive Cedevita's story as a whole. They know everything about us, and so do we about them, but this is something for the dressing room to know, not the public. The battle will be much more intense than the last time we met, as this time there is EuroLeague tickets on the line. I'm sure they'll be as prepared as we are. We will have to pay much attention to their leading players, first and foremost to Nolan Smith. We don't want him to have his best performance against us in the semi-final. Everything Cedevita does and has done in the past years is worthy of respect. They have all the positions covered and they're guided by a great coach as well. So this is the team we need to beat in order to reach our goals. I don't want to stress out anyone in particular because their great advantage has been a quality team performance, which is essential to their success. So the defending champion is well aware of the task ahead. But there is, of course, almost a common knowledge that the black and white seem to perform best when it is most needed. Add to that their fanatical support from the stands, and there remain only but a few who would bet against them in this semi-final. So all the games start at 8 p.m. Crvena Zvezda and Cibona play on Thursday, while Partizan and Cedevita on Friday. And the final is, of course, on Sunday. And that's all for today. Join us again next week when we will have all the details from the Final Four tournament. Bye-bye.